Hey guys, it's Casey and welcome back to my channel, and also welcome to the first video in a new series of videos in which I take you through my life as if I am still living like it is the year 3994, which was, I think, the best year of my life. Either that or 3993, I'm not actually certain, but we're just going to go with 3994 for the sake of this video. But of course, the Achilles heel of the entire series is that this is not 3994 anymore. It is the year 2026 and my life is in chaos. Even more chaotic than usual today because I entertained last night, hence why this is a mess, and this isn't even the start of the mess. Because last night was Nate's 37th birthday. Technically it was April 2nd, but we were all working because it was a Thursday, and so we celebrated last night instead. Now Nate, he asked me for two specific things for his birthday, and two things only. He asked me for a fish and he asked me for a cake. Now, the fish was a bit temperamental in that my town is extremely Catholic, and this was Good Friday, and so I finished work at 10 a.m. on Thursday morning. I went to the fish market to try to buy him the fish that he wanted so I could cook it. And by the time that I got there, all the good fish was gone. What was left over was extremely suspicious looking, and I wasn't about to cook that and feed it to us out of fear for our own personal health and well-being. But I feel like we had an extremely fun time. We did have an extremely fun time. I made the cake, I made the akrakia, I made us lemon mojitos, a virgin one for me because I don't drink alcohol, but everyone else had the tequila in it and the rum, and it was fantastic. There's the cake. It is a tomboy cake, which was the most popular form of cake where I was growing up and that I used to make for my daughter every single year for her birthday. You can't really see it doesn't come across very clearly in the video, but that is pink icing. It looks a lot more pink in real life than it's coming across on camera. But it's called a tomboy cake because of the contrast between the brown cake, which is a hot chocolate cake. It tastes exactly like a hot chocolate. It is delicious. And then a raspberry meringue buttercream icing, which took me forever to make. It was so temperamental. It's my least favorite part of making this cake, especially because I don't follow a recipe. I just cook off my own memory. We went into about 10:30 in terms of dancing with the disco ball that Nate brought from his van, and then Michelle had to leave because she had to go to work. But then the three of us, we sat up and we watched the new series of A Woman of Substance, which is my own personal, it's not even my own personal, I stole it from my friend Tristan in my first Easter, second technically, because the first Easter I didn't really do anything, I wasn't really aware of what the holiday was, but my first true Easter in the modern West, because that was his family tradition, and I've kind of adopted it for myself to watch A Woman of Substance, except for this year, the BBC made a new miniseries of it, so we stayed up and we watched the new miniseries of A Woman of Substance, and then we played Mario Kart on the Nintendo 64, which again came from Nate's van life van, until the sun came up, and then they left, and I went to bed for like 2 hours, and now I'm up filming this video. It was a good night. But now the responsibility falls on me to clean up the mess that has been left in my humble abode. However, as I have said before, the standard of hygiene and appearance, both personal and environmental, where I come from, was a lot more rigorous than it is here in the modern West. And so technically if I was to clean like I was at home, the expectation, especially of your kitchen floor, is that you get down on your hands and your knees and you scrub it, which would probably be very beneficial today because I have a lot of flour and a lot of sugar all over my floor at the moment. But I am not ready to dive that deeply into my own culture at the moment and get on my hands and knees and scrub. My knees are not fit for that today. And so I'm just going to wash the floor. I'm going to get ready. I'm just going to clean the house so it's presentable. We're just going to take it slowly, and I'm going to clean the kitchen to an extent that if my mother was to come in, she'd just be like, you could probably clean that a little bit better. Not that she's going to have a heart attack because I am living in squalor. Okay, that is the goal for today. 3, 2, 1. I have finished cleaning my house, put on clean clothes, because in the year 3994, Taking pride in your personal appearance was held in very, very high regard, almost as high as personal hygiene. In fact, when I was growing up, one of the main gifts that you'd be given, one of the most popular gifts that you could receive, was hygiene products. So soap, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, body creams, anything like that was a very, very popular gift that you would receive year round. But one of the most popular skincare products that you can still buy today, surprisingly, is still around today, or I guess is around today, it's still around in 3,994, is this. This is Nivea Cold Cream. It is incredible. It is fantastic. And it is very, very popular where I come from. It's still in this blue tin. The glass one is still in the blue glass. It still says Nivea, but the rest of it is in a different language where I come from because we speak a different language. We don't speak English. And so if you want skin, like it's 3,994, you can go buy some Nivea. I think it's because it's so like thick. So you can chuck it on your face and it's kind of like a mask more than it is a moisturizer. But it's very clean, and I know that it's very clean because I can't use a lot of face products in general here because my skin, I've said it before, I am on permanent antibiotics because my skin reacts to pretty much everything here, including water sometimes. Sometimes I get out of the shower and I am covered in hives. And so I can't use The Ordinary. I can't use any brands like that. I have tried. It is not from a lack of trying. Believe me, it's the same reason that I don't wear makeup. People ask sometimes in the comments of my videos, why do I never wear makeup? It's because my skin is allergic to life and I can't. I mean, I physically could go and put makeup on, but I would be in agony for the next week and a half while my skin cleared up once I took it off. But I can use this both here and at home, and I'm very, very excited about that because consistency, as you know, is the key. So the fact that I can use this is incredible. And the fact that it's still around in 2,000 years is also incredible and very, very cool. In fact, I've been thinking that I might do a video on the different brands that are around in the modern West that are still around in the year, well, we'll go with 4,000. Technically, this video is about 3,994, but we will go with the year 4,000 because it sounds a lot cleaner and a lot cooler. Another hygiene standard that we had that differs from the modern West is that every single week it was expected that you would give yourself a manicure, a little manicure. This was usually on Sunday nights because the expectation was that you would cut or file your nails down to an acceptable length, and then you would remove any nail polish because women wore nail polish. And this was to allow your very hard-working hands, your very calloused hands, and your nails to breathe so that the nails wouldn't crack. This was an expectation for both men and women. Surprisingly, this is going to be surprisingly for your culture because in your culture, it's socially acceptable for men to be disgusting. And so, for the sake of this video, I have pulled out all my nail stuff and I'm going to paint my nails today. There you go. I have nice, clean, fresh nails and they match my t-shirt. That was not intentional. But that's something that we did every single week. We would take the nail polish off on a Saturday night or a Sunday morning and let them breathe during Sunday. Everything was done on Sundays. Sundays was just supposed to be a relaxing day, but I honestly think it was probably the worst day of the entire week. But the point was just you were supposed to keep nice, healthy hands and nice, uncracked nails, and so you had to let your nails breathe. Next things next, lunch, darling. Lunch. What are we going to do for lunch? Welcome to my fridge. You can tell that I live alone. This is a pretty typical lunch that we would have when I was growing up. Sandwiches. We loved sandwiches, but sandwiches were something that you ate when you were traveling for ease, or if you were at a restaurant for something new and fresh. But in general, this is pretty typical of what I ate growing up, especially when I was at school. And granted, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I'm not ashamed of it. I went to a private all-girls school, so it was a little bit more fancier than general, but in life, in general, across the board, people just ate these little platters. They put them together into a little bento box style thing and took them to work wherever you were, and that's what we ate. But I'm pretty determined to start eating this way again because I feel like this way is going to help me in a lot of aspects of my life if I start consuming nutrition this way. once again. And yes, it is very, very expensive to eat this way. I acknowledge that in this time and this place, it is very, very expensive. The ham in particular and the cheese, I went to just a regular supermarket to try to buy it. Now, luckily, I have a IGA, that is our local supermarket here. And plus, we have some kind of independent supermarket that is owned by, I think, the American military. And because we have a military base and a lot of science people coming through town all the time, and so they set up their own supermarket, but no one here shops there except for to get ice cream and gelato, because they actually make incredible ice cream and gelato. But in general, we have an IGA, and so the meat there is naturally a lot better than it would be at a mainstream supermarket. But I went to a mainstream supermarket to try to buy things. I don't like ham from a mainstream supermarket, so I made sure that I went to an Italian deli to get the good ham. The strawberries look tiny, but these are farm grown. I got them from the farmer's market. They're incredible. They're super sweet, they're super delicious, and they're super cute. So everything is a little bit more ritzy, but I feel like with the price of everything in the world at the moment, you might as well go for the ritzy artisan stuff, because it's only $1 or $2 more expensive now at this point in time than the regular stuff. So just rip the Band-Aid off and do it. This next part has nothing to do with the year 4000 or 3994 as it is. However, do you all want to see what Nate gave me for Easter? If you've never seen my channel before, you may not know that my best friend Nate is a giver of all giver. He is a world champion gift giver. He takes a lot of joy out of giving gifts to specifically me and our other best friend Ash, because Nate came from a very wealthy family. He hasn't spoken to his family in over a decade now, but growing up, one of the things that he really, really enjoyed about his own childhood is that the presents that they gave him, basically, which sounds terrible, but it's true. And so even though it's technically his birthday week and we should be celebrating him, because I didn't grow up with the same holidays. I grew up with plenty of holidays. There was no lack of holidays where I was growing up, but they were not the same holidays that you celebrate. And because Ash grew up with not the greatest childhood, Nate likes to relive those memories through giving us very elaborate, increasingly elaborate presents for each and every holiday, no matter how minor said holiday is. And that includes Easter, so I will show you what he got me for Easter this year. First things first, my actual egg that he got me was this Ferrero Rocher Easter egg. This bunny, he got me this bunny. She's got floral feet, she's got floral ears, she's blue, which is my favorite color. He got Ash the same one in purple because purple is his favorite color. I love her. She's going to sit on my couch over there with my dog and my llama, which is why I moved the book plushie to my bed, because I feel like she just deserves to be. She is actually the softest plushie in the world. I always say, I don't need any more plushies. I don't have anywhere to store any more plushies, but I'm happy that he got me this one because I love her. This book, which is The Mysteries of the Universe, it's got the foiled edgings, it's really, really pretty, it's like a coffee table book. Then he got me, as the main present, my Easter basket, and this is what it looks like. Look how cute the basket is. Now, I have spoken to both Santa Nate and Easter Nate that I do not have any more need for more wicker baskets. I am wicker basketed out. So if Easter Nate and Christmas Nate and birthday Nate and Halloween Nate could take note of that, as he should have after Christmas, that'd be much appreciated. But if he was going to get me a wicker basket, it better be this wicker basket because that's so goddamn cute. Okay, so let's unpack the basket together. I have unpacked it. Well, I've looked at it. I haven't pulled everything out, but I'm pretty well aware of what's in there, and we've started eating some of it last night because we were playing Nintendo 64 till 7 a.m. in the morning, so we were itching for snacks, all right? There are some things that Nate buys me every single holiday, whether it's Christmas, whether it's my birthday, whether it's New Year's, whether it's Halloween, Easter, everything in between. There are a few certain things that I know that he's going to put into my present box. Some kind of pen. This is a capybara pen. It is an 8 pen, and it's going to go really, really well because a couple of months ago, just randomly, he brought me a capybara journal, just as a random gift. So I think this pen is going to go really, really well with my capybara journal. stickers, some kind of bubble wand, some kind of head decoration, chocolate fish. He buys me and Nate a chocolate fish every single Easter without failure. At least he has for the past 5 years. This is a High's milk chocolate Murray codfish. It is an $18 chocolate fish. I don't even particularly like it. Ash, well, I think I ate majority of Ash's over there. We ate the tail end of his last night, so I now have 1.5 chocolate Easter fishes. But, you know, it's just something that Nate likes to do. It's just his little routine, his little tradition for us. So I appreciate getting them, even if they are very, very expensive chocolate fish that we kind of underappreciate. I think that's it as far as I can see of things that he buys us routinely in every single basket and every single holiday. And so the rest of it is just stuff that, for whatever reason, he thought that I would like or enjoy. Why he thought that I would like or enjoy this windmill? Because I don't have a garden. Well, I do have a garden, but it's stone. There's nowhere to stake this windmill in. It is pretty though. He got me a plush bilby, which, if you don't know, a bilby is like the Australian equivalent of the Easter Bunny. So that's why he got that. This little Kinder Surprise turtle dude who kind of looks like Franklin from the Franklin books. 1 Toblerone, 2 Toblerone. These little cute Easter marshmallow cup chocolate things. A reading light, which is actually really thoughtful because my bedroom has the really strong light and it's really annoying to read with that light. So I was complaining and thinking about buying one of these little lights before I came to my senses, but he must have been listening and he brought me one. So that's very thoughtful. Crazy Aaron's putty, which might seem like a weird gift because of my age, but I actually have a whole entire drawer of these in my office at work. So whenever I have to sit down and type notes or anything like that, do emails, do anything that requires me to be at a computer, which, keeping in mind, is 1 day a week. I work 6 days a week, 5 days in the clinic and 1 day in the office full time. That 1 day I like to sit down and play with putty. He got me 2 of these. I ate one last night, which is a lifesaver. Sticks with the, sherbet inside of it. They're very, very nice. He also brought us 2 packs of these Barbie sour peach Zappos. We ate 1 pack and we started eating the other pack, so that's almost all gone. These clips, I had brought myself these clips a couple of months ago, and when I brought them, I was cleaning out my kitchen that day and I must have accidentally thrown them out, and I was very, very devastated about that. So he went and he brought me a new pack of these clips. I mainly just want it for the whale clip, but they're all cute, so I'm very happy. And again, it's very, very thoughtful. It's something that he's taken note of and gone out and addressed an issue that I had. I was very sad that I lost them, so he went and he brought me some more. And then I think this is the final thing in there, which is Convenience Store Woman. It's been on my TBR for a very, very long time. He brought it for me. I'm happy to have it. I'm going to read it. It's very short. It will take me about 45 minutes to read. I'm excited. There you go. That is everything in my Easter basket from Nate. Next up, I went outside, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but it is a big deal for me considering the fact that I work up to 100 hours every single week. I work a lot. Granted, that is in a very, very busy week, but even in a good week, I'm working about 60 hours every single week. So going outside is not something that I do every single day, as horrible as that sounds, but it is something that you would do in the year 3994 every single day. It was pretty much socially unacceptable to be inside your house all day, every day, especially with your doors and your windows closed. Fresh air was considered the cure for all unhappiness. In summer, you would sleep with your windows open so that you woke up to fresh air. That's just the kind of culture that we lived in. But I haven't been doing it a lot. I haven't been going outside for walks a lot, even though, as you can see, the area that I live in is really pretty. We have a lot of very old, untouched Victorian houses, a lot of heritage houses, a lot of very mature gardens. So even if you're just walking around, it's very, very pretty to look at. Unfortunately, we do live on the edge of the Australian outback, and so as pretty as it might be, It's also not very safe. I think the last research that was done statistic-wise for crime was that in terms of violent crime, we have a higher criminal rate than Afghanistan. So that's why people don't move here, despite the fact that the houses are so beautiful and cheap. But I personally don't really feel in danger in my town ever. I always feel pretty safe, but then again, I am crazy, so that could be a contributing factor to that. And then here I'm just showing the local petrol station that closes at 6 o'clock, even though it's supposed to be open 24 hours a day, and showing the petrol prices, because nobody believes me when I say that the petrol prices in my town are still really, really low, despite the fact that they're going for about $2.80 to $3 a litre in the rest of the country. But I think that's because Ronald just so happens to own a petrol distillery somewhere in the Middle East, and so he gets private petrol in because, you know, he's such a darling. He's such a nice, non-evil man, whatever. And then while I was down the main street, I forgot that the market was on. I don't know how I forgot that the market was on, but I did. And so I just took a walk through there for a little bit, and it was nice. It was a nice Easter weekend. I am back from my walk / surprise market visit, though I don't know why it was a surprise, because there is a market literally every single weekend in my house, in my town. Not my house, that'd be really bad. But there is a market literally every weekend in my town, and it's not so much that I forgot that it was on, it's just that I forgot that it was the main street market as opposed to the farmer's market or the market that takes place on the football field behind Ronald's property. So that's all right. I ended up picking up a few things. I picked up a bag of rose petals for cooking. I picked up a bag of garam masala. It smells incredible because you need the good one. You can't just go with the mass-produced, chemically infused one from the supermarket. You need to find a good one, or else your food is going to end up tasting and smelling horrible. And that smells incredible. And then I ended up picking up some vanilla bean paste. Now, I picked this up because I knew that I needed it for a recipe. I had 2 ideas for dinner in my head while I was picking it up, but I completely forgot what the second one was. I just knew that it needed vanilla bean paste. And so I was walking around the market trying to think of what the second recipe was, and I couldn't think of it until I got home. And as soon as I got home, I realized exactly what it was. And I would have preferred that for dinner tonight, but I don't have all the ingredients on hand and I don't feel like going back out. And so we're just going to run with what I do have all the ingredients on hand for. I also picked up some vegetables, but no one wants to see my vegetables. We're gonna cook that, which is a soup. Yay. Now, over the past week, I have come up with a new research project that I'm very, very interested in. Reading, not so much interested in doing myself. It is the idea that depression rates and anxiety rates within Western civilization are so high because you all live in silence. You all have complete control over the audible level of your environments at all time. And what made me think about this is that I was thinking about where I grew up, and there was never any silence. Life was never quiet. Even in the middle of the night, because we had no phones, we had no digital technology, we had this huge clock in this staircase going upstairs because I lived in a split duplex house. So there was my mother's clinic down the bottom, and then up the top was our house. Going up the stairs was this huge clock, and it beat 24/7 like a heartbeat. So even in the middle of the night, it was never quiet. Because again, we had no phone, we had no internet, we had nothing like that. The radio was on 24/7 because there had to be. That was the only way that you could reliably get information. So the radio was on all the time. And even if you weren't listening to the radio, you could go outside, and there was always people outside. And you knew your neighbors, you were talking to your neighbors were making living noises. It wasn't so contained in the way that I find the modern West to be. You have complete and total control over your entire environment. And so you get hyper-stimulated by the smallest amount of noise that is not something that you control to do. For example, people complain about normal living noises like the vacuum cleaner running from their neighbors or anything like that. It's like environmental allergies because your environments are so clean and controlled that anything that's coming in that's outside of your control, even if it is normal living noise, becomes such a bigger issue than it should be, and how it would have been throughout history. And I don't think you know your neighbours for the most part, and even if you do, you don't know them well enough to really have much to do with them for the most part, people. But I don't think that's just me complaining. I complain 24/7. But that is my hypothesis. You have got environmental allergies, and because of that, normal live sounds seem a lot more intrusive than they necessarily would be in any other part of history. I personally would love to read the research on that. I think it would be a pretty easy research portfolio to do for someone who's in psychology or sociology. It would be very cheap as well. All you would really need to do is get 3 groups, 1 control group, 1 test group, and 1 other test group. 1 test group is testing living in silence, and 1 test group is testing living in an environment that's rich with audio, so radio and TV all the time, and then compare happiness and stress levels to see who is less stressed. I suspect it's going to be the 2nd test group, but I don't know because I haven't done it, and to be honest, I'm not going to do it because I don't have the time or the energy. I'm so swamped down in research projects at the moment. Me and Nate, we're still doing our orca research project, the one about interspecies communication with a focus on orcas. And we were actually supposed to go to San Diego back in February in order to meet with SeaWorld and try to get something a little bit more solidated into practice. But Ronald wouldn't allow me to leave the country, and so Nate had to go by himself, and I was so jealous because he got to go to San Diego, full expenses paid trip by SeaWorld for a week and a half, and I had to stay home. How shit is that? And then on top of that, I'm also currently playing around with 2 separate physics research projects, just here and there whenever I got the time. So I don't have the time to do that. And if we were to be completely and totally honest, and this is going to sound so arrogant and not myself, and I'm aware of that, but sometimes that's just how the truth is. I think this specific research project is a little bit beneath me in terms of my research skills and capabilities. But I still think that it'd be really, really interesting to see the results of. Okay, why that is simmering away. I thought because we're living like it is 3,994 again, we wouldn't sit down to watch the TV, we wouldn't go on the internet. We would have to find something productive to do with our time. And as you can see, it's now dark outside, so we can't go on another walk, we can't go do something outside that I would have liked to do. We need to do something at home. Now, luckily, I have more than a couple of options because I am a hoarder of activities. I have all the activities that have ever been created in the history of the world sitting on this hoarder table in front of me. It is a mess. If you have watched my channel before, you have definitely seen this side of my table. I have everything that has ever been created living here. And so I've pulled out a few activities and thought that we could go through them and find one that could be fun. Option number 1. We have got crocheting or knitting with this thread. I'm also 95% certain that I have a cross stitch ring somewhere on this table that is half completed that I started once upon a time, got a little bit of the way through and then abandoned, but it should still be floating around here somewhere, provided I didn't throw it out, which is a possibility as well. Beads. We have all the beads on planet Earth. Not these beads specifically, because all I really did when I brought these beads, again on a complete and total impulse, is that I made 2 bracelets, one for me and one for Ash, and then decided the beading wasn't really for me. And so the most fun that I had with these beads is that I brought little individual drawers that were color coded, and I sat down one evening and I sorted through as many of the beads that would fit in those drawers, and it barely even made a dent in the case. So I've got all the beads if we want to do beading. Coloring. I have all the coloring equipment. These are not even a quarter of the available tools for coloring and drawing that I have in my possession. Not even on this table, let alone in my room. In my room, I have about 30 different coloring books, in which the most of them have maybe a quarter of a page colored in right now. I've got pencils over there, I've got crayons, I've got this thing. See, another activity that I started and never got into. All of these, all of that. I've got everything. I've got all the pencils, I've got grey leads up the wazoo. I've got all the choices. So coloring or sketching, I am ready to go. We could finally start work on the dollhouse, which has been sitting here since Christmas, completely and totally untouched. Perhaps we're in the mood for some clay work, because I, in my possession right now, have about 24 little individual blocks of colored clay over there. This thing, whatever it is. Today, our activity is going to be this thing right here, which is a crystal art, sparkle gem art. I have done one of these before. In fact, it's sitting on that chair that is inaccessible to me right now. It's about 90% done, and I'm not going to continue that one because, one, I can't get to that chair, like I said, and two, I have lost the accompanying gems to it, and so it's basically useless at this point in time. This specific tiger one, as you can see, is one that Nate got me, I think, for Christmas like 3 years ago, so I've never even opened it, but I enjoyed doing the other one that I did, and so I think I want to do this one, Why My Soup is Cooking. Thank you very much.